I don't know if I shared here, but my college training is in mathematics. Mathematical thought is important to me. That probably explains a lot of my homilies. So I can appreciate what an Irish priest I used to work with would always say on this day. All these apparitions that we have, especially the later ones, the later claims, that's proof that Mary really was not assumed into heaven. She's still on earth and hearing. 20 years ago, I had the good fortune of traveling to the Holy Land with the priest in Los Angeles. And I don't know how many of you have been there, very around Jerusalem. But one of the sites there is called the Church of the Dormition. It's just outside the walls, and it celebrates what we celebrate today. The fact that at the end of the earthly life of Mary, she was assumed into heaven. And to call it the Church of the Dormition is one of the, shall we say, more poetic ways we like to describe this day. We say she did not die, she simply went to sleep. That's one way of describing it. And then in another area around Jerusalem, further out the walls on the Bethany side, near the Mount of Olives, there is a church there called the Church of the Assumption, with a particular site called the Tomb of Mary. Competing sites in Jerusalem about the one listed. And so it claims a tomb where Mary was laid, right? But it is called the Church of the Assumption, which is, it acknowledges Mary did die, but that she is assumed into heaven. That the body, if one were to assume it, would not be found there. In fact, if I remember correctly, that's the site where there's a glass case, and all you find is coins. That's what's tempting it, right? Well, about 4 years ago, I had the good fortune of traveling to Greece, and then we took a cruise out to the islands. And one of our stops was Ephesus. I don't know how many of you have been to Ephesus, but one of the major, well, I guess Catholic at least, if not Christian sites there, is the House of Mary. Right? Recall that in John's Gospel, Mary was entrusted to the disciple whom Jesus loved, which some traditions say is in fact the disciple John. Right? John, recall, was exiled in the island of Patmos, which is not far from Ephesus. So here is this house, which tradition says is where John and Mary lived together. And the other claim is that Mary lived the last of her days there. A third site, claiming to be the place where Mary's earthly life came to an end. Well, my rational mind likes to say, well, maybe she spent her last years in Ephesus. Somehow traveled to Jerusalem for the very last day, died or slept at Dormition Abbey, and somehow was buried in the tomb, which we now call the Assumption Church. But really, that is all detail. At the heart of what we celebrate today, nevertheless, is also part of devotion. A devotion of the faithful very early on in the history of the church, only pronounced rather formally much later. That Mary is assumed body and soul into heaven. That's all it's saying. Oh yes, it's a 40-some odd paragraph full by which the doctrine is proclaimed. But the very important line is that Mary is assumed into heaven. It is a statement that we make about her because of who she is, the Mother of God, free from sin by that other doctrinal teaching that we have called the Immaculate Conception, prevented from the stain of original sin. But, and then this is why I want to be clear, it doesn't mean that she was prevented from sinning. She could have sinned if she wanted. She just didn't. Right? She could have sinned if she wanted. She didn't. One might say, well, because she wasn't touched by original sin, this proclivity to sin that we say we inherit is not present in her. But because she had free will, she could have sinned, but she didn't. And being free from sin, we say, she also is brought into heaven in her very body. It reminds me of a song from Billy Joel, Only Human. If you are younger, might not have heard about it. Only Human. At one point it says, you're only human, you're supposed to make mistakes. I like Billy Joel, but I have a problem with that line. Our humanity does not mean that therefore we should make mistakes. We may, we're allowed. Humanity does not mean that therefore we should. Mary is the example of that. It is possible not to sin. And even you and I, who have been touched by original sin, we were free from that on the day of our baptism. And every time we are absolved of sin, we are free. And it is possible for us to begin again, and it's possible to be free from sin. So the hope of the Assumption of Mary is a hope that we have not only at the end of our earthly lives, but it is a hope and a strength that we can have even now. Because death and the corruption of death is because of our sin. In the case of Mary, she was not touched by sin. She was victorious over sin. And therefore, we celebrate her being assumed into heaven. That has meaning for us even now. That it is possible for us also not to sin, to be free from sin. Therefore, Mary's victory over death is our victory over sin. It's really not her victory, it's the victory of her Son, passed on to her. But lest we think, well, it's easy for Jesus to be free from sin, he is the Son of God. But Mary is a mere creature. I might say that we can take a closer model from Mary because she's one like us. And if today we celebrate her victory over sin and death, we bring that victory as well. It is possible to overcome sin. We can be free from sin. And when we unite ourselves more closely with the body of Christ, we find the strength to overcome sin and temptation and humility. So, where Mary has gone, we hope to be one day. Actually, that's all I'm going to say about Jesus. Where he has gone, we hope to follow. Mary precedes us there. One day, we hope to enjoy that same celebration.